Hey guys, it's just me. Just sort of had a bit of a chit chat on a couple of things that sort of been going on and stuff like that. So for those that are new to my channel, welcome. Hope you're enjoying all my videos and all the rest of that. To my other subscribers, yeah, thanks for sticking with me. So I probably kind of get into things and that on the video. I'd like to thank my darling. He's been fantastic support to me over the last few years, especially, going through a few things together and that. And I'd like to thank people on Facebook that have been great support. Shout out to you guys and girls, investigators that have, and people that have asked questions, respectful questions and stuff like that, and offered your support and advice. Thank you all. I'm really grateful. So, but unfortunately, the good things are pretty much outweighed by a lot of bad stuff that has been going on. And now disclosures upon us. People are confused, they're scared, some of them, want to know what's going on. Now, back in 1997, the Greys offered me a position in their society where I could play a role in helping them and us. Now, this has been a very, very long time in the making, so it's not something that you can just do straight away. Had to undergo a lot of training, a lot of learning. I'm still learning, and things like that has been going on. Now, the Greys have felt that we were not ready because we're too busy infighting. We're still getting caught up in partisan politics and not dismantling our weapons, mass destruction, like nukes and biological warfare, and not looking after our planet properly, or just leaving problems until they're virtually unfixable or very difficult to undo. So, and our social issues, with housing crisis, food crisis, famine, diseases, all that stuff, gender inequality, and just giving people, their human rights, and still we're having so many issues in treating each other fairly and all the rest of that. I think that's why they feel that, they're of the opinion that if we treat each other like this, then how are we supposed to go in treating them fairly and equitably as well? Now, I think if they were such a threat, they would have razed us to the ground centuries ago or years ago at the very least. People are screaming about, why they shut down nuclear things. Well, why do you think? Nuclear weapons are not toys, and it's not something that we should be mucking around with, pretty much, right? Because they have the ability to not only just destroy cities and that, but kill people and ruin lives for generations to come, right? They're no good. Nothing good can come out of them, right? They don't want to be going down the path of war. Big boys and their toys need to grow up and be responsible. I think we I don't think America really had the right to scream disclosure when they've known, apparently, all along since the 1930s, if Grush is telling the truth. Now, I have my issues and a few quibbles with him. Sean Kirkpatrick apparently does not have clearance to see photos and stuff that Grush apparently gave him, and Grush is accusing Arrow and Kirkpatrick of lying when Kirkpatrick denies seeing the photos or images that Grush supposedly showed him. And I really think that's not right. I'm also not very happy at the way that some people think that, you know, the whole phenomenon is a joke. You get like a lot of stick. You get a lot of things being said that it really isn't right. People getting accused of mental illness, faking, lying, making money or fame or attention seeking and stuff, which is not true. Look, in some cases it may be true, but let's not tar all experiences with the same brush. I really don't think that we should be rushing into this threat narrative when they have proved to be nothing of the kind. I'm not sure why they're coming out with all of this stuff now when they had all of this time to make things right and to do the right thing by humanity. I mean humans, that is, not the Greys, because they are genuinely afraid of us. They want our help, but they are scared of us in large groups because, well, we've proven that we can't be trusted in large groups or things because the way people behave and just basically run with the crowd. Or as I say, the sheep, follow other sheep kind of thing. Now, I've unfortunately had to turn off comments on my YouTube channel because of really nasty comments. There was one guy that accused me of basically breathing heavy like I was doing something, and which is not true, and sent me really dirty messages. So I had to block and report him. Now I have a heart condition and chronic asthma, so my breathing can be a bit heavy and laboured at times, but I can't help it. It's just one of those things. So, and especially like when I get, excited or concerned about something, it can really stress me a bit. So that's what that is about. Secondly, there was another guy who accused me of putting up videos of just planes and things like that. Now, I've been a sky observer since I was about 8-year-old, right? So it's been a fair while now. And it really isn't very often that I mistake planes or drones or helicopters for UFOs. I know what they look like. I've seen plenty of them in my time. I've observed stars, planets, eclipses, lunar and the solar eclipse many, many years ago. for myself. I've seen comets, satellites, meteors, and fireballs. I've seen I haven't seen an aurora in real life, but I'd love to see that. But I've seen them in photos. I observed atmospheric phenomena too, like sprites. So I've seen a blue jet and everything. It's absolutely beautiful to see it. Dry lightning, sheet lightning, all sorts of things. I know what things look like. Okay? And then he tries and claims that the triangle UAP video that I put up a little while back, oh, that was just a plane. He goes, well, no, it's not, because I can tell you now, I've never seen a plane go in that flight path before or since that night. And the fact that it was basically flying over the houses in a street pretty much, or the street back from me, and then turning right around and pretty much circling and coming back over the top of me. That's not a plane. It wasn't a drone, because it was close enough that you would hear it, because drones are fairly noisy by nature. So it was not that. And then we see the triangle in the sky afterwards. And the red triangle that we saw near the ground. The 3 red lights. That's not a police drone. That I know, because I've seen them. And I'm always careful to rule out mundane causes and things like that. You see the orbs where they're changing colour, they're splitting, they're moving. The streetlights don't do that. Right? And I've thought of every possible scenario where I could be seeing it, and we looked at the area where I've seen it, and there's nothing there that can account for it. Right? They're sitting in front of the tree and moving around. I've seen the orb floating around in the driveway, and it's fairly large. A couple of times I haven't got it on video, but they've come quite close to me to see that it is like a white plasma ball thing or something. That's basically it's their equivalent to a mobile phone. They can control it via their brain waves, and just by focusing on it, all that sort of thing. So you can send it off ahead just to be sure that everything is safe, or they want to be sure that they know where they're going and all the rest of that, what to expect and all the rest of that kind of thing. Now, with my experiences with the Greys, they explained to me that once a person turns 16 in their culture, they get gifted one. They have a sponsor which looks after them for a few years, or for the rest of their life if they want. So an adult will, an older adult will willingly, step them through some difficult things if they need advice on things, which is a really good idea. And the sponsor gives them their orb, and they learn how to operate it. They learn how to control it. They can just basically, without even thinking about it half the time, it'll just automatically do what the person wants them to do. Okay? Listen, they're not looking for trouble. They're not looking for war. They don't want to fight with us. Right? They have enough of their own problems without that getting in the mix as well. Right? Their species was and still is vulnerable to extinction. Now, I've had some pretty horrible human beings, and all guys, by the way. I don't know whether that's a guy thing or what, but it needs to stop. I had messages from a guy threatening that God made them all extinct and this and that, and said, well, no, they're here. People are still seeing them. They're not extinct. And I was just so shocked and disgusted So he unsent his messages and tried to, oh, why do you want to, see where I am for a while? You'll see. So it's not very good, and I would classify that kind of thing as hate speech, right? Because they are a form of human. They're just as human as what we are. And I've explained my Neanderthal and Denisovan link hypothesis in other videos. For those that don't know, take a look at the grey symbols and technology talk. I talk about that. And I've spoken on it quite often, like on my social media pages as well. So you can more than welcome to have a look. It's hashtag greys, hashtag orbs. It's Zeta Hercules, not Zeta Reticuli. Like on the hashtag on that. So all one word. Hashtag disclosure. So look for my name, and you'll see some articles that I've written about the greys. I've published the full alphabet. I've published the full star map and my analysis of where I think they're from. It's either Kasai Biotes or Zeta Hercules. I've narrowed it down to at least that area. I may be wrong. They may be even further off. I don't know. But given the information that I was given, it seems to fit either one of those two sun systems. It may be even both. I don't know. But it appears that they've attempted to colonize other exoplanets, or at least set up bases, but their race, again, is probably too small. Maybe they're spread out a little too thinly, and an over-application of cloning, and the asteroid strike has rendered their species very much so, vulnerable to extinction. And I think to wish extinction upon anybody is not a nice thing to do. And I think we need to be better than that. All of us need to be better than this, right? We need to stop treating each other like crap. We need to stop murdering, raping, scamming, lying, cheating on each other. We need to really pull our heads out of the sand and basically, behave ourselves. You don't need the threat of hell or the bribe of heaven to do it. You just be a good person for the sake of being a good person, and that you yourself, have morals, you have standards, and that, you don't, tempt, say, karma or the consequences of your actions. If you don't want to, if you can dish it out, you need to be able to take it. So if you can't take it, don't do it. I mean, the greys themselves, they have consequences for bad actions. If you murder someone, then they ask you to take your own life away. If it's an accident, say you accidentally killed somebody, just say for an example, then you donate blood, and then you go around and you warn other people not to repeat the same mistakes. That kind of thing. They can basically probate you to do a life-saving course, safety course, and to help others not do that mistake again. Doesn't take what you've done away, but at least you're making up and trying to repair and prevent any other incidents in the future. Right? If you steal something, right, you give back the item, and then you pay the person the value of that item that you've taken. So you basically pay back double. Right? They have their consequences. If you sexually assault someone, then their organs are taken away from them, and they have a nose ring fitted in, and so people know that they're an offender, and people can refuse to serve them. but usually they're sent away to an isolation facility and where they get treatment and all the rest of that. Victims are looked after and all the rest of that. They get counselling, they get whatever they need. We could have this system if we was really willing to deal with our psychopaths. People might not like it, but that's just the way it is. So they have their justice and all the rest of that too. So let's talk about like the disclosure thing. I really think that the whole thing's a farce. I think that's bullshit. It's bullcrap. Absolutely load of nonsense. If, according to Grush, he's telling the truth, let's assume that he's telling the truth for the moment. He is implying that world governments, including the Vatican, knew of the existence of this species, the greys or whatever species. Then why have they not told us that they exist and they're to be treated, with respect and just like anybody else? Think about that really carefully. It turns out that the Italian crash was a hoax. So whoever told him this is bullshitting him. Do I think he believes the lies he is told? Probably. But people that are body language experts have said that he is lying. And I got that feeling as soon as I saw the interview. They say, he's autistic and all that. That's crap. I know autistic people and they don't go wobbling their heads around and grimacing and, showing tells of their body or thing or whatever. They don't. Okay? He claims that he showed Sean Kirkpatrick of Arrow information. Now, Kirkpatrick apparently has to or had to obtain a Title 50 or something like that. I'm not quite sure of the schematics of the whole system, but apparently he had to have a certain level of clearance, security clearance, this Title 50. I may be wrong, I could be wrong, but in any case, on one hand, he's saying that Patrick didn't have the clearance to view this material or to hear certain things. And on the other hand, he's accusing him of lying, saying that he showed him these pictures or this classified material. So it's not very good, because Kirkpatrick is denying ever seeing any evidence of it. So Grush has gone and dobbed, let's say, Arrow and all the rest of that in, saying this or that, when in fact Arrow cannot view these confidential or classified stuff because they don't have the clearance to do so. So this, I don't know what you'd call it, bait and switch maybe? I don't know, just something. I can't put my finger on it, but maybe one of you will know what I mean. But it to me, something is not adding up. Why would the Vatican give the US a saucer? That was my first question, but then it was later said that the US scooped the saucer by basically invading the area and taking it. So apparently they've got about 15 intact and crushed saucers and with pilots in it. Non-human biologics. So right away, this eliminates those people that are claiming that the Greys are robots. They might be partly robot and biological, which is like a cyborg, but they're not robots wholly, because if they were robots, they would be mining metals, not our DNA. Unless they use our DNA for storage space, if that's the case. Now, we were going to go through like the species that are allegedly visiting us. And we're going to talk about walking through walls too. And some people are not going to like what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it. All right, let's start off with walking through walls. Now, there's been many people that claim contact, that the entities of all sorts, whether they're reptilians, the Greys, the Mantis, the Nordics, whatever, can walk through walls. That is impossible, and is more impossible than faster than light travel. Because I'll tell you why. Why don't we go through, say, a chair or a bed when we lie on it? Because the electromagnetic force holds us and basically has a barrier between us and other objects. You don't ever physically touch an object. It's an illusion. Okay? What you're feeling is the electromagnetic force. Now, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle states that an atom cannot exist in the same space at the same time. So in other words, once something is occupied, a small volume of space is occupied, another particle cannot come in through and occupy and jostle for position. So what this also means is that you can't pass through solid objects. Neutrinos are a different thing because they are not electromagnetically, charged. They pass through, like there's millions of them passing through your thumbnail, right? There's strings, particles, but they are super tiny. They have no mass. They're also called WIMPs, or also it's massless particles, the MP for weakly interacting massless particles. That's what they stand for. I just got to think for a second. So what that means is they don't interact with the electromagnetic force. Now what they describe, also, they talk about quantum this and quantum that, with no understanding as to what it really is all about. Now, they claim quantum tunneling could be an option for this. Quantum tunneling is very sporadic. It happens by chance. Now, for one atom to go, say, through a wall spontaneously, will take you 1 trillion years. Right, your 30 trillion atoms in your body will take trillions upon trillions upon trillions of years to go through the wall at once. It's extremely unlikely. Now, Michael Persinger, he was a skeptic, yes, I know. And before you scream, oh, I know you're debunking doing it. No, just hear me out. He put people in what was called a God helmet. And he passed a microtesla of energy through people's brains. Now, some people felt nothing at all, yet others reported feeling they were being tugged, hit, floating, or walking through walls. Now, I have an hypothesis. Given the high electromagnetic fields around these craft, if 1 microtesla is enough to induce these kinds of feelings, and these craft are powerful enough to stop a car dead, the alternator dead, and all the rest of that, imagine the effect on our brains. Because inside these craft, people, there are doors, there are windows, there are hallways, and like holes in the floor, there are elevators or tubes of things that serve as elevators in some cases. If they could walk through walls here, they could walk through walls anywhere. Why don't they? Because in every single particular thing that I've seen with people claiming abductions, they say that the aliens, like, or the greys or whatever entity they believe they're seeing, they're walking through the door, they're walking down the hallway, or up and down the hallway, or coming in from the doorway. Okay? It would not make sense if they could just basically go in and out, like of walls or whatever. There's that distinct possibility that we when we wake up, we get a fright. There's also a point when people have accidents and they have extremely traumatizing experiences or frightening experiences. Their brains cannot process things properly. They say that their victims come out of nowhere. They literally do not see it coming. That surprise element is what could be causing these sensations in some people. Out-of-body experiences. Some people are saying, oh, but they're abducting my spirit instead of my body. Well, you can't have it both ways. It's either one or the other. Okay? What would spirits be doing? Spirits don't breathe, right? They wouldn't need aircraft or spaceships to come and take people. They would not need to crossbreed with your spirit, because an immortal spirit, or a spirit supposedly immortal, we reproduce because we die. Right? A spirit would not need to reproduce because they'd live forever, if according to the legend. So, again, that does not work either, does it? You sit and really think and think about that. Right? There is no proof of devils, of angels, of gods, or Satans, or anything like that. Right? People hallucinate shit all the time. Most people will have one hallucination in their lifetime. Okay? It becomes a problem when it's all the time and it goes for longer than 6 months. Now, in some cases, I've read so-called abduction experiences I think in some cases it's purely mental illness. In some cases, I think something initially did happen and has basically set them off into psychosis afterward, like a post-traumatic psychosis kind of thing. It's not their fault, and nobody should be taking the piss out of people that have mental illness or sleep disorders or out-of-body experiences or lucid dreaming or anything like that. They need to recognize things for what they are. It may feel real to you, but it's not objectively real. There's a big difference. Now, Betty Hill herself said that people don't go walking through walls. She was really unimpressed, and she said of 100 abductions she studied, only 9 she believed were the real ones. So that is a good 91% that she herself didn't believe. It was even too incredible for her to believe. And I'll tell you now, I have never walked through walls, gone up floating through ceilings, through the floor, or floating, walking out through the window, basically without a cut, say as they say, that song, These Dreams. Okay? It doesn't happen. I've seen them come, like, walking through the door. I've heard the doors open or seen the doors open, and they'll come in just like a normal person has. Right? Had seen the dogs react to them and go up to them and ask for pats or things like that. A few times when I had the family dog. Well, he's long past now. I had things go on and he had to get put down and stuff like that, which was, I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to him, but it was hard. And but what really shits me off is all these people saying all these wildly different things and the lack of critical thinking in society and in the media in general. So let's look at these other things. Now, I believe the Greys exist because there have been photos and film of them. For some people scream hoax, but I think some of them are hoaxes and some of them I reckon are real. I know mine are real unless someone's playing a prank on me, dressing up as Greys or something and wandering around next door's garden in the driveway. Well, if that's the case, and if I find out, I'll be pressing charges against them if they're humans dressing up as Greys and taking the piss out of me because I spoke of my experience at high school. I would suspect that's where it's coming from, if anything. But no one at that school knows where I lived, that as far as I know. So I'm kind of like on the fence with that. But there are other people that I genuinely did see something unexpectedly. They're just walking along, doing in the outdoors, in caves, in different places, and seeing these guys. They're living and hiding because they're scared of us, but they need our help. As I said before, there have been no pictures or film of the reptilians, the Nordics, or these mantis beings, and they all have their difficulty in existing. Okay, so let's take a look at the reptilians first. Okay, reptiles on Earth. They lay eggs for the most part, and we cannot crossbreed with a reptile. Right, they're super big. They're like about 10 foot, 11, 12 feet tall. Right, we have a lot of trouble in like coming into the house. They'd have to stoop down. It'd be like us trying to go into I don't know what you'd call it, like a vat or something, and trying to crawl along. You know how hard that is to be walking along, right? You walk on stilts, right? And you're like 10 foot tall. Very soon you're going to faint because of blood pooling. Going to have blood pooling issues. Right? A tall race indicates a lighter gravity. So even in space, even if they have teleportation, just give them that, just at the very minimum, right, they are still going to have trouble walking around in that gravity. Reproduction-wise, aside from consent and fit, a male reptilian is going to be absolutely huge, putting his bits into a human woman, right? The genetics is not going to line up to create a baby. Even if an IVF is going to be extremely difficult, right? Ethics aside, it's not going to happen. Next, the Nordics. They are too alike to us to be from another planet. They may exist, but I felt that they could be alien or grey and human hybrids many generations down the line, which is, with the addition of more humans mixing in with them. That is a distinct possibility, or a breakaway civilization. But it does smack of Nazism with the blonde hair and blue eyes and tall. Because Hitler was obsessed. He was an a-hole, an absolute MFR, and he deserves to be his place as the most evil man in history. Right? He's a no good, nothing, horrible person. Right? Look, I don't believe in Judaism and all the rest of that, or religion, but people shouldn't be persecuted just because of their religious beliefs. They need to be taught the proper way, science and, and all the rest of that. It's not their fault they got brainwashed into horrible stories and false history. It's not their fault. Okay? It is not their fault. Religion needs to go, to be honest, if we're going to be anywhere near ready for this whole thing. Right? And I believe that's part of the cover-up, because the church was too scared to admit they were wrong. They didn't want to let go of their power over children, especially hurting them, and money. That's all it is. That's partly the reason why the cover-up is continuing, and I believe they set the Greys up for a fall. They basically told them to have free-for-all, all the rest of that kind of stuff, and basically, threw humanity and them under the bus. Right? They did not prepare them, explain to them how to obtain consent. They said, just go in and take anybody you want, pretty much. That's what it seems like. And they were just, when I got to, in with my position with the Greys and, started formally doing things with them properly, I said, things have to change. We need to stop this program. We need to, and I showed them how to obtain consent, how to ask for it, how to say thank you, and all the rest of that. It took, several meetings and several months before things started to wind down. And apparently since 2007, there's been an all-time low in abduction reports. So I essentially stopped the program and modified it, and hopefully it'll be better for everybody concerned. Okay? There's that. But other than that, with the Nordics, let's go back to the Nordics. They claim that they were from Mars, from Venus, and from the Pleiades. Now, we know that Mars and Venus are not hospitable to life as we know it. And second off, no evidence of, civilization has been found on either planet, right? Because it's too hot or too cold, too much radiation, all the rest of that. No protective ozone layer or anything. Now, the Pleiades, they're super hot white and blue stars, which are 10 to 30 times more powerful than the sun, even sometimes even 100 times more powerful than the sun, right? It would, to get anywhere safely orbiting around such a star, which takes, millions of years. Now, a blue and, say, white star will only last like a 500,000 to 2 million years at the most, right before they either blow up, go supernova, turn into a pulsar or black hole or magnetar. Right? It's not conducive to life as we know it. It'd be extremely dangerous, and it would fry robotics, it would fry biology within several dozen light years of it. So, and if they do exist and they did say this to people and lie to them, then they can't be trusted. Okay? They can't be trusted. And this allies of humanity crap, that needs to pay off and go to, because that is an absolute load of nonsense. It is nonsense. It is cultic, same with Urania and all these other UFO religions. That they're all cults. Well, all religions are cults anyway, but they are especially dangerous, and they're taking people for fools, scamming their money, basically making them leave their families, their friends. No, anything that demands that, or that you're somehow inferior to someone of another gender, another race, or anything like that, they're crap. Don't listen to their nonsense, because it's crap. Everybody is equal, although not everybody gets an equal chance in life. That's where equity comes in. Okay, there's a difference. I know whether you guys ever saw the meme of the three boys standing on different levels of the podium at a football game, where they show the short guy getting the bigger stilts so he can see, the others getting different levels because they're obviously taller, if that makes sense to people. Okay, that's where equity is. Now, the mantis. People need to recognize that the mantis could not work in Earth's gravity. And do you ever wonder why insects are small? Because of what they call power to weight ratio, which means the bigger an insect gets, because his body structure, the weaker it will be. Now, an ant can carry up to 400 times its weight, whereas an elephant, he can only carry 60 times. You see how the strength, as you get bigger, your strength actually goes down, right? They're being, say, 12 foot tall too, or something, or whatever. Again, they're not going to function. They have their hands basically folded at the wrists, apparently, right? How do they operate tools? They can't operate tools like that. So again, I say no to that too. And for the record, people, I've not ever met a reptilian. I've never met a Nordic. I've never met a mantis. I've only met like the small greys and the taller greys. That's all. I've seen of various sizes. We have our pygmies, which are very small, they're about 3 foot tall, to like say the Hutu, the Tutsi in Africa, which is like they average about at least 6'5", 190 centimeters, 2 meters tall. Some of them. The tallest human was 8'11", or 7'11", I can't remember. In any case, he even the tallest human is shorter than these alleged taller beings. I don't know what it is all about. I don't know whether, if Greer is right in saying that making out there's an alien race, maybe they're dressing up as whatever. I don't know, but again, they have all these difficulties. Now, the greys, when you look at a 12-week-old fetus, they're essentially the same proportions as greys. So we once looked like greys too. I mentioned about the Neanderthal and Denisovan hypothesis. There's that, which I've mentioned in another video. Okay, guys, well, I think that's all for today. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you later, and I'll catch up with you guys in another video at some point. And hopefully we'll see you like in the next encounter too. Thanks, bye.